Hi friends, welcome back to Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my 7th and 8th grade girls' independent work or curriculum, things that they do at their own levels. The last few videos I've made have been my 5th and 6th graders, and before that I did family subjects and our morning baskets. So if you want to see what my younger kids are doing for their independent work or what we do as a family or in our morning basket, do check out below and I will have links to those videos. But today I'm going to be talking about my 7th and 8th graders. Now, I'm going to leave the things that I'm counting for high school credit towards the end of the video, so if you want to see those, stick around. And I'm going to start with their math and language arts. So starting with my 7th grader, she is doing Thinkwell Math 8, and she is making good progress on this. I will say that this has been a challenge for her. There has been a lot of times where I've had to step in and basically learn math for myself to teach it to her. So there are video lessons that go along with these, and I haven't been watching those video lessons, so I can't be sure on if it's being lost in the teaching of the math. I think that basically her coming from teaching textbooks Math 7 to this Thinkwell Math 8, it might have been a bit of a large jump for her, but I think we're getting the concepts. I'm learning a lot about pre-algebra as we're going along. So I would say I do like this math program, but it was a bit of a jump for us from teaching textbooks. I feel like it's going to give her a very solid foundation going into algebra, whatever algebra we do choose for the next year. And then my 8th grader, she is doing CTC Math. This is our first year trying out CTC Math. My 2 boys who are in 5th and 6th are doing CTC Math along with this 8th grader. And I did move all my kids back, except for my 5th grader. He is basically on grade level for math out of these 3. So my 8th grader, she is currently working on 6th grade CTC Math. It's a good review for her, and math has always been a struggle for her. So we are working through that. I would say 1.5 speed. So we're trying to do 2 lessons a day, but we do take some time out to review and to go back over other concepts. So maybe at 1.5 times speed. So maybe we'll be starting 7th grade math maybe in the spring. The goal is to be moving forward at a slightly faster pace, but I have enjoyed CTC Math. I do feel like the foundation is getting a little more solid as we're moving forward with our math. Now, both of my girls do a lot of the same things for language arts, not exactly at the same level, but this year, both my 7th and 8th grader are doing Essentials in Writing level 8. And I will say, I am not sure what I was thinking when I chose this level for at least my 8th grader. I've never had her do on grade level curriculum in general, so I'm not sure why I thought this would be an easier thing to do. It has not been. I have had to adapt it. I have had to reduce the number of questions she does. I do have to spend a lot of time working with her on this, and I don't feel like she is understanding the concepts. So it's kind of that struggle of using what we have, but not sure how much she's picking up from this. So that was not a great pick for me as far as my 8th grader goes. My 7th grader is doing fine with this. She does not love it, but she's doing fine. I think she's getting most of the concepts. There are short video lessons that come up about once every few lessons at this point. Basically, they have a lesson and then they'll have a certain number of days that go with that lesson. So that lesson might have a video, but then you might do a few days of work that relate to the lesson and the main idea. Right now they're working through the grammar section, and then towards the middle of the year, it will switch to writing. And that is basically why I got this. I wanted a writing program that I didn't have to teach, but we are doing grammar right now with Essentials in Writing, and it's going okay. I have had to reduce the speed as well. We were doing what they recommended, like a lesson a day, and now we've moved it down to about 4 lessons every 5 days just to give them a break every so often. So that is going okay. Something else both of my girls are doing is the Good and the Beautiful, handwriting. They are on their own levels for that. We do a lesson a day at this point, and my 7th grader, she's just moving actually into level 7, which is the last level for this. And so she'll be done after that. So probably at the end of the school year. My 8th grader is on level 4, and I believe she's going to be moving into level 5 pretty soon. Sort of along with writing, just a fun thing both of my girls are doing is this, my year of writing, and these are just super short writing prompts. I have them do it like twice a week and about two sections each time. So we won't be getting through this whole thing, but it's just a fun little thing to get their brain started when it comes to writing. 2 more things that both of my girls are doing at their own level is Wordly Wise. So I have Wordly Wise book 5, and this is what my 8th grader is working on, and Wordly Wise book 8, and that is what my 7th grader is working on. It's going fine. I'm going at a slower pace than I did last year with my currently 7th grader. She was doing book 7 last year when she was in 6th grade, and I was trying to finish it in the year. And there are only like 20 lessons, but each lesson has 5 sections, and then it sometimes has a review as well. I'm just slowing that down to about twice a week, 1 section twice a week. So it's going to be more than a year to finish these Wordly Wise, but I just want them to be learning new words and reviewing the concepts. And then the reason why I have my 8th grader on book 5, and I was a little worried about this level, I wasn't sure if it would be too hard, but I think she's doing okay with it. We are moving very slowly. She does struggle with remembering vocabulary words and using words in different contexts. So far, I think this has been a good way to stretch her use of the English language and just learning some new vocabulary and different forms of the word. So that has been good. I think that this is going pretty well. Wordly Wise is something I was a little nervous about for all of my kids, and it's still working fine at this point. Another thing that both of my girls are using at different levels is reading detectives. So my 7th grader, she is using this one, B1, which is for 7th and 8th graders. And my 8th grader is using the grades 5 and 6. I will say that some weeks she can do really great at this, and other weeks she doesn't really get what's happening. If it's too figurative, she has a hard time understanding what's happening. She has a harder time with reading comprehension. So that's why we're working on this. So yeah, so sometimes I have to go through and basically do it with her. And there has been a week or 2 where she just was able to get all the questions. So it's kind of here and there. And then my 7th grader, she's doing fine with this. She does usually get 1 or 2 wrong, but it seems to be at her level at this point. I think there's one more thing with language arts that they are both going to be doing that are similar. They are both doing not consumed reading log. So my 8th grader, this is our first time doing this, and I gave her the choice of if she wanted to do the middle school version or the elementary version, because I felt like there's stuff in here that she has not yet done. And she chose to do the elementary school version this time, which I think was great because that's what I wanted her to pick. So she is working on this reading log twice a week. She fills out one of the little sections about what she's reading in her book. And then I do have her do oral narrations for me the other 2 days that she's reading her literature book. And basically she tells me what's happening. She also reads out loud to me or my husband twice a week for just 10 minutes, just to keep working on fluency and vocabulary and understanding what's happening in the book. And then my 7th grader, she has not yet started this. This is the reading journal for middle school students by Not Consumed. And I got the PDF. I downloaded 4 different sections for her to do sometime this year. And they are a biography or autobiography, fiction A and fiction B. So I just have 3 here. Basically what you would do with this is you take a book and you divide it up into 20 sessions or 20 times that you read the book. And then there are 20 lessons that take you through the book. There's a pre-reading activity there. And then every day you're doing one of these sections here. And so the reason why I didn't have my daughter start it yet was because she's a very fluent reader and I think she's reading accurately, but she was getting behind a little bit on some of the reading compared to my other kids. And we all do sort of similar reading because we use Sonlight as our reading guide. So she was getting a little bit behind just because she probably is actually paying attention. So I wanted her just to read for a bit and get caught up on the books before we started having her doing some daily activities with that. So what she's doing is she's just doing some written narration when she reads. So twice a week she does written narration. So she just writes in a notebook what she read, about 1 page. And then on the other days she's doing an oral narration. So she's telling me what she read. At some point I'm going to say, okay, it's time to do one of these. And so she'll be working on that, but we haven't started on that yet. All right, so we just got some weird lighting going on here with my hair. One of the things that my 8th grader does that my 7th grader does not is spelling, and she is on spelling UCE. And we go very slowly in this. We have just finished lesson 4. There are 36 lessons, and each lesson has 5 days of work. We only do it every other day. So some weeks we do 2 and some weeks we do 3. So we are going at this half pace, and that just works better for us. There is a bit of writing for people who don't love writing. She's been doing it very nice and neatly, so I rather she do it slowly and neatly than rushing through. So there's quite a bit of writing there, and then she also has to shade in different parts of words. And at this point, it seems to be working pretty well for us. She hasn't been getting a whole lot wrong. She still gets some wrong, but it is, I think, the perfect level for her. So that is what we're working on for spelling for my 8th grader. The last thing that both of my girls are doing that is the same, but is not language arts, is their Bible. They are both reading this, Starting Strong. It's 3 books in one. It has One of a Kind, Stuck Like Glue, and Never Too Small for God. They only do this once a week. They read a chapter and they answer questions, and then they have their Bible notebook. They answer the questions in here because they do have places to answer at the back of each chapter. They do have places to write the answer. But I did want to use this again for my boys maybe next year or the year after that. So they do have some stickers and they have places to answer, but the girls are not writing in here or using the stickers at this point. So once a week they read a chapter in here and they write the answers in their Bible notebook. And then the other days of the week, they have a choice. One does this every so often. She's reading a verse in Psalms, and then she'll write down she reads a chapter in Psalms, and then she'll write down the verse that she liked the most, and then she'll write a prayer or something that she learned from that. And then the other days, I think she's doing her Word of Life devotions. If you've been to my channel, you've seen these before. We've been working on this for probably 2 years or more. And then my 8th grader, she is also doing 1 chapter of this a week. And then she is doing that Word of Life devotional thing as well. So they do devotions every day, and that's what they're doing for their personal devotions. All right, so one thing that my 7th grader is doing that my 8th grader is not this year is art. So she is doing painting with acrylics this is by Artistic Pursuits. This is a new middle school core. I believe that this book itself is part 2 of a 1-year course. They have one that involves more drawing, and then I believe you're supposed to do this one, the painting. But we just decided to skip to painting. She hasn't done acrylics before, and she was more interested in this part. So the table of contents is here's the table of contents, and there are 9 units, and I think each unit might be maybe take 2 weeks or yeah. So I feel like if you wanted a full year of art, you might want to get both of these, but we got the one, and I feel like it's going to be enough. There is more art expected or artwork expected for each lesson than in the past Artistic Pursuits that we've done in the elementary grades. So I'm basically assigning her 2 lessons a day. We did get this late in the year, so we got this maybe a few weeks ago, so we didn't get started right away. So I feel like at 2 lessons a week, or a lesson every 3rd day of school, will probably take us till, not till the end of the school year, but far enough, and then we can be done with art. So this course comes with videos or DVD. They have a DVD and a Blu-ray that comes with the course. And so the teacher is definitely teaching techniques, and you basically paint along with her. And the activities they just take longer than they did when they were in elementary school, which makes sense. So I think it's a very, I like the look of this course. It is looking comprehensive, that she's going to be learning new techniques. She hasn't, like I said, she hasn't done a lot with acrylics. So I think she'll be learning a good deal with this, just doing the 1 book this year. Okay, so one of the high school credits that both my 7th and 8th graders are working on this year, and it may continue into next year depending on the speed that we're going, is World Geography and Cultures. So I have Guest Hollow's curriculum. This is just the answer key for their workbook, but I have Guest Hollow's curriculum, the high school geography and cultures curriculum. We started doing it last year as a family. We got through about 8 weeks. And then this year, we're starting with their high school credit. We are focusing on the Eastern Hemisphere. So we started in Russia, and then we're moving into the Middle East. And we're doing some things together as a family. I'm reading some books together as a family. And then they are working on just one portion of this on their own. And that is the worksheets. So here is one of my daughter's worksheets. They have an online textbook. Guest Hollow has an online textbook where they are reading passages, and then there's videos throughout to kind of help explain the concepts. And then they might have like a page like this to fill out and answer. And we are going very slowly as far as assigning this to them right now, because our group work just takes a little bit longer. So I have some living books that I'm doing as read alouds to them. And we have some other books that I read to talk about the different countries and cultures. So if you want to see what those books are and just get a little better idea of what our geography looks like, you'll want to check out our family videos, our family subject videos. But basically they are responsible for the workbook section of the geography that they're doing. We're just going to take as long as it takes to finish the Eastern Hemisphere. So if it takes us until mid next year, that'll be fine. That's when I will assign them their geography credit. So we don't have to finish 1 credit exactly in 1 year. I feel like we can take a year and a half if we need to, as long as I feel like the amount of work and the level of work is appropriate for a 9th grader at this point. Then I'm going to be assigning them a credit. The other high school credit that both of my girls are getting this year is for science. Now my 7th grader, she is mostly doing, but it is a combination of things. She is mostly doing Bookshark level H, and that is conservation, robotics, and technology. So that is for ages 12 to 14, which is why I feel like it's fine for a 9th grade or high school credit. Another thing is that my kids probably will not be going into science-y fields, so I don't think that I need to be doing the very typical science programs. And so she's really into sort of technology and stuff like that. So I thought that this would be a good first year of science for her. So in this Bookshark Science notebook, this is her notebook. I have photocopied these for her, the grids, so she can follow along, and I just tell her what day to be working on. And in the back, I have all of her worksheets that she fills out, finds the answers to, and fills out. Currently, she's going through this book, Super Cool Tech, and finding answers for questions that Bookshark assigns, as well as every week or so, she has something to create. So last time she created a robot that moves with hydraulics, so the use of water, the push and pull of water to move it up, like its arm up and down and pick things up. So she's doing stuff like that for her experiments or labs. Along with that, I'm assigning her some other books as well. She is working on the world of physics. Right now, she is getting close to being done with this one, and then I will be assigning another exploring the world of, I'm not sure, maybe chemistry might be next for her. This is by John Hudson Tinner, and she's doing that and writing in her science notebook. So for her science notebook, when she reads whatever is assigned in that, it's kind of a textbook, but it's a bit like a textbook. It's a very thin textbook. You wouldn't use this over the course of a year, but if you use several of these, it could be a year's worth of work. She will do a diagram in this area here, and then she will write a paragraph about something that she learned or found interesting in her reading of that. And then once a week, I have assigned Archimedes and the Door of Science. This is something that we will also continue throughout. She will read about 3 different science biographies throughout the year. And this is the first one that she's doing. She does the same thing. She writes in her science notebook, she draws an illustration and writes a paragraph about what she learned in that chapter. So that was my 7th grader. Now my 8th grader science, she is working on Sonlight's G, Geology, Physics, and Origins. This is also for the same age or grade levels, so up through 9th grade. I think they say 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. So we are focusing mostly on physics, and they say geology, but more chemistry, really. And so she is currently reading different sections in here as assigned by Sonlight. She has the same thing. She has a grid at the beginning here. All of her grids are here, so I tell her what day to be working on. And then she has worksheets that she is filling out and answering questions for. And then about every 3rd day, she is reading out of Exploring the World of Chemistry by John Hudson Tinner. She has her own science notebook here, and it's a little larger, but basically she has a blank page for an illustration and some lined pages here for her paragraph on what she learned or found interesting. She's also currently reading Archimedes and the Door of Science, and then she will have some other science biographies to read when she's done that. The last high school credit that I have to talk about is going to be given to my 7th grader. We have been studying Mandarin Chinese in my home for 3 years now. I speak Mandarin Chinese. She has been doing online tutoring with a tutor from Taiwan once a week, and she's been doing Duolingo on her own for quite a while now. She's very motivated to learn Mandarin Chinese. She was born in Taiwan, like myself, so she is starting her Mandarin Chinese credit. And so here are the books that I picked up for her to study that. I really got a whole bunch, and I went through and I decided which ones I felt like I liked the most. I really liked this one the most. It's Learning Conversational Chinese, Mandarin Chinese for Beginners by Tuttle. I just liked the way that it looks inside. It's a little more approachable. They have more cartoon people talking there, or conversations and things like that. So this is what we're going to be going through for her conversational Mandarin Chinese. And then the written part I got also is Tuttle, and we have Basic Written Chinese. So that's what we're going to be using for that. And they will go through and they have different, just starting with simpler characters and getting more and more challenging. So that is her written Chinese workbook. And then this is the practice book. So this one has actual practice pages in there. So actually, like, a lot of this is writing the Chinese characters. And then I haven't looked at the back here, so we haven't gotten that far. So we'll see what all that is once we get there. But really the emphasis is going to be on spoken Mandarin. So what I did was I scheduled out her lessons, and every other day I still have her doing Duolingo because she's been doing that on her own and she finds that fun and challenging. She likes to compete with other people, and so she's been doing that on her own, and I think I can definitely add that to her credit. So I'm not sure if this will be only Mandarin 1, or maybe I will be using all these for her Mandarin 2 as well. I'll just see. We really just started that this year. So we are starting a term late, about a third of the way into the school year. So we'll definitely continue on with this year in the next year and maybe do a little more before we start our Mandarin 2. We'll just see. I'll just see how I feel as far as breaking up the content and how much she should be doing for 1 credit of Mandarin Chinese. So that's everything for my 7th and 8th graders independent work or their independent curriculum. I have been meeting with each of them once a week. I go over their work on the weekend, and then we have our Monday morning meetings where I go through their pile of work, and then we go through and do corrections and things like that. That has been working pretty well. It is almost enough. Sometimes I have to meet with my 8th grader a little more frequently, but that has been working for us so far this year. So yeah, we have definitely noticed that there's switches and changes that come with my kids as they're moving up. So my boys being in almost all in middle school, basically 3 kids in middle school, 1 in elementary school. Kids are doing more on their own, and I definitely have to have systems to be checking in on them and making sure that, yeah, right now I feel like my boys' independent work is sort of falling through the cracks because I don't have that time set up to mark their work and sit down and do their work with them, because I'm hoping to be able to do it over their shoulder, which hasn't been happening. So yeah, even at the higher levels, when kids are more independent, there is still a different kind of work that needs to be done. And sometimes it's hard to keep on top of everything. So let me know if you have a 7th or 8th grader, how your year is going. What are some curriculums or things that you guys are enjoying for their independent work? Do tell us in the comments section below. I would love to hear how your homeschool is going so far this year. Thanks so much for coming today, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye, everyone.